Getting those planes airborne. We're live at Heathrow as BA tries to revive its normal schedule ahead of more planned walkouts. And Jerusalem was being built by the Jewish people 3,000 years ago. Benjamin Netanyahu gives his American audience a Middle East history lesson. Those stories ahead on this morning's Live Desk. Chinese state media has accused Google of violating promises by stopping internet censorship in the country. Google says its Chinese users will automatically be directed to uncensored pages in Hong Kong. Our China correspondent is Peter Sharp.
At their headquarters in Beijing, Google executives waiting for China's next move after the company announced it was refusing to censor its search engine, immediately putting it in breach of the government's tough restrictions on internet access.
What we are filtering is the content which will harm national security and social interests. We have to stop it from spreading, so as an internet service provider, as must any foreign enterprise in China, it has to abide by China's laws and regulations.
With a staggering 380 million web users in China, and that figure is growing, Google is removing itself from the fastest growing internet market on the planet.
Both sides have very clear stances. Google has chosen what it feels is a compromise that it hopes is acceptable. Clearly from the feedback today, it's not entirely acceptable.
China's ruling Politburo made it known at the recent National People's Congress that they would not compromise and warned Google it would have to obey Chinese laws even as it's leaving. Under government restrictions, internet information on the Tiananmen massacre and other stories relating to human rights and the exiled Tibetan leader, the Dalai Lama, would all have to be blocked if Google wanted to stay on.
The relationship between Google, motto "Don't be evil," and the Chinese government was never going to be an easy one. In the end, the internet giant took the moral high ground, flatly refusing to censor its own search results, and in doing so, putting at risk its whole future in China.
I think that coming to China, Google should operate according to local laws. Its attitude is too stubborn.
I believe the whole issue of Google leaving is going to hurt Google a lot.
There are few companies brave enough to walk away from the potential riches of China's huge markets. Google's impending departure is unlikely to start a trend. Peter Sharp, Sky News in Beijing.
Well, we can cross live now to Beijing, speak to Duncan Clark, who's a telecoms consultant there. Duncan Clark, a very good day to you. Google's proud boast, some would say Google's vain boast, is "Don't be evil." Are they back on the side of the angels?
Well, this is an atheistic country at the moment, so we'll see how that works out for them. But certainly they're trying to square a circle by sort of pulling to Hong Kong as a halfway house. They're torn between wanting to stay in the market and staying true to their principles.
How's that going to work, the Hong Kong connection? And as you've indicated, it may cost them money. How much?
Well, overall, it's not a material huge number yet for Google. It's a small percentage of their overall sales. In fact, most of their sales may even be helping Chinese companies expand overseas through advertisements. But in the long term, the concern, and we've seen this in the stock price, is that they're going to be missing out on this largest internet population. It's not yet the largest market in terms of dollars, but in the future, there is a concern from investors they'll miss out. So what they're trying to do is maintain the site, but host it elsewhere. They're hosting it in Hong Kong. Today, users in China are getting the message, if they type in google.cn, that routes to another site in Hong Kong saying, "Welcome to the new home of Google in China." Now, the government could actually block that sort of linking mechanism, and that would actually hit their traffic. So far, the Chinese government hasn't done that.
Yeah, hitherto, Duncan, Google's strategy was engagement rather than estrangement. Does this mean they got things wrong?
Well, Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, actually commented that when they made the decision, the controversial decision to enter the market, they saw a trend of opening. This was pre the Olympics. This is going back 5 years now. And he said, things didn't turn out the way that they'd hoped. And we have seen a hardening of the business climate here in a number of areas. Very few companies are in Google's position that they have the luxury, frankly, to sort of pull out. But it'll be interesting to see how this affects sentiment.
Duncan Clark, thank you. British Airways flights will begin to return to normal following the end of a 3-day strike by cabin crew and overworking conditions which cost the airline